Brian from Pennsylvania is here with pronouns he, him. Is a theist who maybe, it's got a question mark. If you experience communication from a god or the afterlife, would you believe it? How would I tell it's from a god or the afterlife, Brian?
I don't know. If it was an experience that you had that, you either that God came down, like say God came down right in front of you and was like, I am God. And,
how do I know?
It could be right now. I don't know. So I don't know how you would know.
I don't either.
Actually, Brian,
go ahead. Sorry.
I would ask this, Brian, have people had that experience and been wrong about it being God, say a schizophrenic person?
Oh, probably. Right.
So there's a naturalistic explanation for that experience. And right now I am at the very least a materialist. A natural explanation certainly seems more likely than a non-natural explanation. So if my schizophrenic state has not gone so far as to also just delete my cognitive abilities that have put me where I currently am, wouldn't I still resort to, there's lots of confirmed people having these experiences for non-supernatural reasons. Wouldn't I default to that being the most likely explanation over the never proven it actually was supernatural?
So
Hello?
yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So I guess if that happens, right? Say you had an experience, whether it's a burning bush, I don't know what it is, right? Would
Sure.
that change?
Well, I've had a burning bush. Sorry, go on. Sorry, I shouldn't have.
This is a hypothetical. It really is. It's outside the topic really for tonight. But at the same time, if that happens, say a burning bush and it was communicating with you and it was saying that it was God or something from the afterlife. Say, I don't know if you have like a relative that passed away. If that relative
can we just stop? Hey, Brian.
Sure.
You're going to keep coming up with examples like burning bush or all these things, and I'm going to be like, how do I know what it is? How do I know what it is? So let's just get past all that and do this. If I was shown incontrovertible, reliable, good evidence that there is in fact a God, would I believe it? Of course. That's independent from whether or not I would worship or respect that being. But if there was sufficient evidence to conclude there was a God, I would believe it. Just like there's sufficient evidence to conclude that Donald Trump is president, but I'm not fucking saluting him.
Or wearing a suit in his house if he ever invites me.
Yeah. I'm dressed closer to
would it change what you're doing? Would it change what you're doing now? Right? Would you continue to look for proof, or would you try to prove to others?
No. Why would I continue to look for proof of something I believe?
Would you try to
get God to call in
that happens?
Would I try to what?
Would you try to convince others that happens? Like right now you're looking for logical evidence of God.
Brian,
you can't have logical evidence of God.
Brian,
but if you believe that there was an experience that you had.
Hello, Brian. Can you hear me? Is this on? Hello? So first of all, you just asserted that you can't have logical evidence for God, which is bizarre to me. But I already told you, if there was a God and I had compelling evidence, I would, of course, believe it like everything else. What would happen to the show? I don't know, because it would depend on what God showed up as to whether or not I'd be saying there's absolutely a God and he's a piece of shit, or there's absolutely a God and I really like the guy and you should too. I can't know that without knowing what the God is. But you just asserted that logical proof is impossible, which that's bizarre to me as well. Like
I know where he's gotten
stuck. How can you even know that? How can you even know that? How do you know what's not possible?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Then why would you say it?
As far as I know.
Then why would you say it if you don't know?
Brian is stuck because he doesn't realize you're not accepting that the evidence that you accepted was something like the burning bush. That's why he's asking, would you then try to go convince other people? And the answer would be no, because neither Matt nor myself would believe it on some basis that isn't provable to other people. So Brian, You're stuck because you're thinking it's the burning bush thing, and it's not. Matt isn't saying he would accept a burning bush, but he is saying
Right.
sufficient evidence, which would not be a burning bush, would convince him.
There.
Yeah. But what ends up, you were the only one that could receive that sufficient evidence for yourself?
I'd assume I was crazy.
You know, like, yeah. Okay.
I don't know whether I would assume
Again,
I'm
it's just a
crazy or not.
hypothetical.
I don't know whether I would assume I'm crazy or not, but I'm a skeptic. My position is I want to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible. And one of the grounding things here is that I understand that one person might have sufficient evidentiary warrant to believe something, and yet nobody else does. For example, nobody else can see what's in my room right now, not even Arden, below the camera. And so if I believe that there's a $1 million bill here in front of me, I'm the only one currently that has sufficient evidence to conclude whether or not that is true. And so, of course, I'm going to believe things based on independent confirmation. And I'm not going to be going out and sharing things unless I have reasons that should convince others. And right now, you should not be convinced that there's $1 million bill on my desk. And now you should be. It's not real.
Not worth $1 million.
But it's $1 million bill.
I mean, for me, as far as the crazy thing goes, if God exists, the way he could fuck with me specifically would be to reveal it to only me, because I would then go through my life assuming I was crazy, because that makes more sense and seems more likely by a lot. And yet I wouldn't know I was the only person who actually had the experience. That'd be a real way to fuck me over, because it would end my relationship with the channel at the very least.
Yeah, it'd be really awful.
Yeah.
To be the only one who knows something, and to be intellectually honest enough to realize that you are either crazy or you are the only one who will ever have this warrant. You can't share it with anybody, and everyone else would be correct to assume that you don't have good reason because you don't have a good reason you can share.
Yeah. Brian, did we scare you away, Brian? Okay, good.
No, still here for sure.
So why do you believe in God?
It was really just an interesting thing. I just a curiosity for me on what you guys would think about that.
What would it take to get you to stop believing in a God?
Well, I don't know if there is a God or not. Right.
Well,
at all.
It has you listed as a theist with a question mark. So I'm when you say you don't know, do you believe there is?
I do believe.
Okay. So then when I asked you, stop. When I asked you a second ago, what would it take to get you to stop believing? Why did you talk about what you know instead of just acknowledging that you do believe and then answering the question?
Well, I don't know. That's the way I responded at that time. That's the thing, right?
Great answer. Thank you. Genuinely, I mean that sincerely. That's a great answer. Thank you. So think about it. I'd like to know what you think would change your mind, or should. I mean, you don't have to answer it now. You can think about it and call me back.
I wouldn't mind hearing your best reason why you currently believe. What the
True. Yeah. So current would be personal experience, right? And a lot of people have that in terms of like when you were chatting with Jordan Peterson, and he started bringing up psilocybin mushrooms and experiences that everyone kind of has like this similar experience. It could be something along those lines, but even if you're completely sober and you have, it probably goes back to what you guys were mentioning before with brain finding patterns, or humans always trying to find meaning in something, right? It's probably, maybe more fun to believe in something than nothing, ultimately.
If the reason you believe from personal experience, could that be used to justify other gods too?
Oh, See, like we have all the, I don't know how to answer that. So we have all these other gods, right? And all these other religions. And I think all of them are wrong, right? I don't think anyone knows at all.
That's pretty arrogant.
And I guess. But at the same time, I think there is something more than this life for our consciousness. I believe that. And that's like a belief.
What the hell does that have to do with God?
Evidence.
What's that have to do with whether or not there's a God?
Yeah, no, because I think my point there poorly was that I don't know if there even is a God. It could just be us.
But you said you believe. You keep going back to this. I don't know. You said you believe there's a God. That means you are convinced there is a God.
I don't know. I don't know if there's a God. I believe there's.
Why do you keep stop using the word no? I didn't ask you what you know. You said you believe there is a God, correct?
I don't know if I said that or not. I don't know if there is a God or not. I believe there is something.
All right, Brian.
Brian, I am done talking to you.
I apologize.
Brian, here's my challenge for you. It doesn't sound like even if you do believe in a God that you believe in one that's threatening you in any way. So since you're in this I don't know position, why not go all the way with it and just start at 0 and call us back and go, I'm going to start at 0 and I'm going to go, I don't believe there's a God. I don't believe there's not a God. I don't know if there's a God. I don't know if there's not a God. I'm at 0. Now, here is my list of good reasons to suspect there is. And if you get stuck on one that you can't think your way through and go, oof, that's the one I can't defeat. Here's my reason there is a God. This one seems pretty compelling. Give us a call back with the compelling one and we'll give you our thoughts on that one.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Cool. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
It's one of those things I know people get stuck in the confusion. But it's like, yeah, you absolutely. We just went through this. We just literally went through the knowledge belief thing, and you literally just said, yes, I do believe it. And so cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I know if I push back on why do you believe, I'm going to get, I don't know. So that's why I went with what would change your mind, or what do you think should change your mind? Because I think what's happening here is that Brian, like a lot of people, are like, I just don't want to close down the possibility that there's a God, which none of us are advocating. If in fact there is a God, show me. But the time to believe it's after it's been demonstrated. But just leaving the door open, all of my fucking doors are open. I will literally believe anything for which there is sufficient evidence, even things that I think are absolutely unbelievable right now, or even things that I think are wrong right now. If you want to tell me that Trump is actually the smartest president in the history of the world, I will believe it just as soon as you demonstrate it, because all of the available evidence suggests he's the dumbest motherfucker, both in IQ and in general intelligence and smarts colloquially, that has ever served in that position. And I lived through W.
Though if you could prove he intentionally did everything as a master plan to become the most powerful person in the world, knowing that he was broadcasting that level of stupidity, you'd have an argument for it. It would be brilliant to do with intention to behave that stupid and fail upward that hard. Hey, what's up? I'm glad you enjoyed that clip of people talking to each other. I'm Jimmy and this is Eric. And well, we'd really love it if you would support us. Where can they support us, Eric? Where would they do that?
I don't know, Jimmy, because I don't have the notes on me right now.
This is too long. The outros have to be short. Patreon.com/call the line.